Hi, everyone. It's great to be here, and thank you, Fintech Junction, for inviting me once again to share some of the thoughts and the way that Max has been doing for the last two and a half years. So I would like to start by talking, as you can understand from the title of the presentation, I would like to start by talking about the new black, API strategy. API strategy, or any strategy, is a response to change. We always need to respond to changes that occur in the ecosystem. Now, a lot has been said about the changes that we experienced over the last year in financial industries and in other industries. I'm not going to talk about these changes. I am going to focus on two aspects of change that I believe are a key, I would say, a key issue that provides the solution that we are going to talk about, which is an API strategy. And the first aspect of the change is the pace of the change. So we have experienced changes in the past. Carriages have turned into motorcycles and to cars, but it's not the same pace as we know it today. Because today, things change much more dramatically in a way. And this is not the only aspect of change that is so prominent. The other aspect is the nature of change and the effect of change. Let's take an example of online shopping. So all of us probably consume our shopping today in a different way than we have done 10 years ago. So we browse our favorite website, we enter our payment details, and we get our next, I don't know, services or clothing. So in a way, most of you will say that we have changed the way we consume services, the way we consume goods. But is this the only change that has happened due to online shopping? I would say that the change is much more fundamental. The change that online shopping has caused and that e-commerce changed is the change in the business model of malls. Because the fact that we consume goods and services from e-com sites has forced the malls to rethink about the value that they create for their customers. And this is a very big change. And this change is not a technological change, but rather a change in the business model of malls. Now, if we take another example of the gig economy, we consume things differently today. But this is not the material change that gig economy has caused. The material change that gig economy has caused is a change in the job market. It has restructured the job market. And it goes on, sharing economy, and we can give some other examples. So the fundamental point about the change that we experience today is that this change is not a technological change, but a change to the business model that we know for the last 10 or 20 years. Now, financial industries are not different in that aspect. Many of my colleagues believe that disruption is not here yet. So I hope that everyone who sits in this room understands that disruption is already here. But the big dilemma that arises is that we all understand that disruption is here. We just don't know where it will come from. Will it come from regulation? Will it come from new channels? Will it come from our friends in the Fintech? Will it come from the new rails of payments that we provide every day? Will it come from technology? And this kind of situation poses a great dilemma to any banker and to any manager in the financial industry. And the dilemma is, where should I put my next dollar in? Where should I put my next hour in? Should I invest in collaborating with Fintech? Should I invest in understanding better consumers? Should I invest in providing or developing new channels? I can give you a small example. In Max, we see more than 300 startups a year. Each of them is claiming to be the big next thing in the world. How can we be sure with which one to collaborate? How can we be sure with whom to invest? what should we do? Now, I don't say that there is a definitive answer for this, but I would say that a key element in understanding change and responding to change is this word, openness. Now, openness is a mental situation in which you understand that your business model is under constant scrutiny and is going to be changed. Openness is the willingness of us to test, try, fail, and understand that we are going to experience new models that can compete with us, new models that can cannibalize our existing business. This is openness. And most important, openness is the understanding that most probably the next change will not be created by us, but rather it will come from the outside. And we must be ready to respond, to collaborate, or else we will not be relevant anymore. So at that point, I would like to introduce you to Max. Most of the Israeli crowd here knows Max as Leumi card. So Max is a leading Israeli payment company, recently reborn and rebranded as Max. We provide issuing services, acquiring services, and of course lending. We process more than 2.5 million cards, 40,000 active merchants, and a very nice portfolio of consumer and SME lending. And 2.5 years ago, we have asked ourselves the same question. We understood that a big change is about to happen, and the change is happening every day. And we understood that we need to respond to this change, and we understood that it's going to be much faster than we can think of. So we thought, what's the best way, on the one hand, to respond to changes, and on the other hand, run the business, run the usual business, and gain some income. And we understood that we need to change the way we connect and collaborate. Up until then, 2.5 years ago, our systems were built in a way that in order to integrate with us, you had to tailor your integration to each and specific vendor, supplier, or bank. 2.5 years ago, we have taken a major decision in which everything that we build will be API-driven. We have rebuilt dramatically and in a whole way the whole services, the old core services of us. This is what we call the API strategy. And we took another big decision, according to which any new service that we will introduce will be based upon API and will enable other players in the market, our partners and external partners, to collaborate and to partner with us in an easy way. And why have we chosen this way? We have chosen this way because we understood that by allowing and giving access to our services from the outside, we will enable the change in a more easy way. We will be partners of the change, and rather than responding to the change. So this is the way that we have started 2.5 years ago. And let me share some insights and some understandings of what we have done over the last 2 years. We have begun by building a full platform, a supervised API environment that enabled our banking partners to consume issuer services, issuer processing services from us more easily. The results were amazing. We were able to launch 2 new banks and integrate with them in 8 months and do that at the same time. In the past, it took us something like 1.5 years for each bank. So that means that API works for efficiency. That's very good, but that's not sufficient, right? So the next step that we have taken is that we have opened and launched a full issuer prepaid platform that allows, in a supervised way, Fintech companies and other partners to access our APIs in order to issue prepaid cards. You can create your own prepaid cards. Now, let me share something with you. Up until recently, Max was not into the business of prepaid. We didn't believe in this product. In fact, we believed that if we provide prepaid cards, if we provide prepaid cards, we will fail. We didn't know how to market them. Something amazing has happened during this. We have opened new distribution channels because fintech players have started to play with our APIs, and suddenly we had hundreds of thousands of prepaid cards that were distributed in a very different way by fintech companies. So we have found out that API is not only about efficiency, but API can be a new distribution channel. And today, I'm very happy to announce that we have completed the third phase of our API strategy. In 1 month from now, Max will launch its new developers portal. With this portal, we will allow developers to gain access to gateway services, acquiring services, and combine our APIs with their websites or apps. Now, it's not only that. We have thought that if you combine our API with your services, you deserve to gain some income. And therefore, we have built a specific model that will allow these developers to gain new revenues and to increase their profits by just using our APIs. This is the third step of our API strategy, and I promise you one thing, it's not the last one. So to conclude, talking about API strategy, APIs are much more than technologies. API can stand for new channels. Everybody's been talking about digital. I can tell you one thing. Digital is a lot about efficiencies. API means growth. And one last sentence. You should have an API strategy. You should have a robust API strategy. But keep in mind that API strategy is only the beginning of your journey. Thank you very much.